Israel begins its Gaza City offensive. The IDF declares the city a combat zone and ends the pauses that allowed in humanitarian aid. Hundreds of thousands of people face being displaced again. Also on the programme, violence flares in Indonesia as thousands protest against unemployment and inflation. The death of a civilian struck by a police armoured vehicle is stoking unrest. And the first notes ring out at Germany's annual Beethoven Festival. Bringing together musicians from around the world in the composer's home city of Bonn. We'll hear from this year's guest country, Nigeria. I'm Phil Gale. Welcome to the programme. Israel has launched its offensive to take control of Gaza City despite international condemnation. The IDF says the city's a Hamas stronghold and says it's ending pauses that allowed humanitarian aid into Gaza's biggest population centre. Hamas has warned the remaining Israeli hostages now face the same dangers as the militant group's fighters. Around 1 million Palestinians are living and sheltering in Gaza City. Many now face being displaced once again.
On the road to nowhere. These Gaza City residents are using any means necessary to once again pack up their belongings to try and escape the latest Israeli offensive.
Here is death, there is death. Whether here or in the south, it's all death.
Their options are extremely limited. Most of the Gaza Strip is occupied by Israeli forces or under evacuation orders.
My wife and children are waiting for me in the street. I don't know where to take them, the south or not. There is nowhere for us to go. I don't have a tent. It is trapped under the rubble.
As part of its planned takeover of Gaza City, Israel's military says it is now operating 24 hours a day in the area, suspending humanitarian pauses that has allowed food and aid to be delivered between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m.
We will intensify our strikes on Hamas in Gaza City, which is a stronghold of Hamas. We will expand our strikes on the infrastructure of terrorism, both above and below ground.
The Israeli army says it is operating with great force in the outer suburbs of Zaytun and Jabalia. Officials in Gaza say it has levelled more than 1,000 buildings in the area since early August. And in Gaza City's Al-Shifa hospital, more lives are mourned after several people were killed in an Israeli airstrike south of the city.
Mohammed Shehada is from Gaza City. He's also a visiting fellow with the Middle East and North Africa programme of the European Council on Foreign Relations. He's also a Gaza researcher, writer and human rights advocate and joins us from Copenhagen. Welcome to DW. Let's start with what you're hearing from people who are in or leaving Gaza City. What are they telling you?
Oh, thanks, Phil. So basically, my family, friends and colleagues there, they say the bombardment does not stop a single minute. There's literally another airstrike, another gunboat emptying its machine guns, another drones throwing grenades on people nonstop all day around, another artillery fire. And there's no fire in return. It's one directional. There's no combat. There's no battles. It's basically the IDF, most of it is doing demolition works, blowing up homes. So what they're doing, for example, in the Sabra neighborhood in Gaza City, according to Israel's own Yediot Ahronot newspaper, is demolition work of every single home that is there. The IDF would go in, bring bulldozers, artillery fire, tanks, etc., and knock down one home after the other and leave nothing standing. For people in Gaza City, my family, friends and colleagues, the starvation is still about the same. And it's now etched in their minds that trying to look for food is a death sentence because until now, over 2,000 people have been killed in Gaza while trying to get food from Israel's GHF distribution sites. So what you have basically is people at the end of their rope. There's nothing that they can do to survive. Everything is literally random. Their life is up to the chance of a split-second decision. Do I eat breakfast or do I go out? Do I say hi to this neighbor or not? My late close friend, Ali, he was killed literally when he decided to take a walk next to a hospital, and immediately Israel bombed it. He got half of the rocket in his head, decapitated his head immediately. So if he just stayed home for 2 more minutes, he would have been alive today. There's nothing that you can do to stay alive.
And Mohammed, you've described a terrible situation there from people who are still in the city. Why aren't they leaving?
Well, because Israel has been bombing them in the very areas that they've been asking them to leave to. Israel's own leading newspaper, Haaretz, reported 2 days ago that the very areas the IDF is asking people to go to are designated combat zones and red areas. So Israel is basically reducing people in Gaza to rats and roaches scurrying for shelter. Every time they bomb them in one area, they run to find cover in another. As soon as they set up home, they bomb them in the new home. Then they make them run another place. The average person that I know in Gaza has been displaced up until now about 10 to 15 times. And people say that displacement is 1,000 times worse than death, because you have to pack your entire life in a tiny bag and run away with it, and you don't know where you're going to end up. Most people just end up either sleeping on the street with snakes, scorpions, insects all around, or they end up sleeping in destroyed homes with the roofs and the ceilings very potentially, highly likely being inclined to collapse on their heads. They basically have nothing. That's why I hear from people in Gaza City, they say, okay, if we're going to die here and we're going to die in the south, then let us die in our homes. Let Israel finish the job and bomb us here anyways. They don't have the energy to even run for their lives.
Time is against us, Mohammed, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to get this last question in. Israel pushing forward with this operation in Gaza City, despite international condemnation. Do you believe the international community has any leverage at all in this?
Yes, plenty of leverage, but it's not Israel that's pushing for this. It's Netanyahu pushing for this pointless invasion against the advice of his entire military and defense establishment, his chief of staff, his generals, the Mossad, the Shin Bet, etc. The international community can waive a lot of threats that would immediately deter this Netanyahu's endless war for political gain. One of them is to basically reconsider the visa exemption to Israelis coming to Europe. I've seen more Israelis in Athens than in Tel Aviv, and that would create pressure on Netanyahu. Just by considering using such a step. It would create a pressure on Netanyahu to end this genocide.
Thank you for talking us through that so clearly, Mohammed. Mohammed Shehada from the European Council on Foreign Relations. Thank you.